Cooper Kupp, Jamar Chase. Cooper Kupp is the most expensive option on the slate in the captain spot. He had 40 fantasy points last time out, so obviously,
incredible game
and absolutely amazing. Jamar Chase had under 18 fantasy points, obviously still got a lot of usage. So, Matt, who are you choosing? You kind of got to have Cooper Kupp, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm taking Cooper Kupp. You're definitely right. The price differential between Kupp and Chase, it's only $1,200, and Kupp is way more than $1,200 better than Jamar Chase. I mean, they're in the same game, so it kind of complicates things. This isn't our typical slate where we're comparing these types of top-end receivers because they're actually going against each other. And the better Cooper Kupp plays, the more the Bengals are going to have to throw, and then the better Jamar Chase does. So it's not just like one guy could have a monster game, the other guy does nothing. But I just think ultimately Cooper Kupp's volume is so much higher that even though he doesn't have quite as much down the field threat as Jamar Chase, he's not as good after the catch. He's so much better at just about everything else that, like, the amount of targets, the amount of times he's going to get open, it's so likely to add up to a big game for him that even if you want to play a contrarian lineup, I think if there's a chalky player you almost have to use, it's Cooper Kupp. That isn't to say you can't make a lineup without him, but of the popular players in this game, he's by far my favorite.
Pierce, what do you think? You got to eat the chalk with Kupp?
So Matt says that he's the chalk player and that everyone's going to play him, so then they're going to pay him with Matt Stafford. But Matt also says that Matt Stafford and Kupp's going to be contrarian. I don't think Matt Stafford and Kupp is going to be contrarian. I think a lot of people are going to go that route, and then everyone's going to find themselves in the same hole, playing the same crap players. And so you're going to have bad lineups, and the best way to differentiate would be go with those Cincinnati running backs, go with the Cincinnati stack. I would go Jamar Chase. I think Kupp can have a good game. He always has these really good games. I think he'll have a solid game. He's going to deal with a lot more double coverage in this game. He'll get 25 fantasy points, but 25 is not going to get it done, whereas Chase can explode. I don't think they're going to double team Chase enough. And if it's Chase versus Ramsey, I'll take Chase every single time on that and hope for those big 30, 40, 50-yard touchdown plays.
Steve, what do we think?
I think Chase is the preferred option too, because, it's not a huge price difference, but it's enough that it gives you some flexibility. Whereas if, like Pierce said earlier, if you're using Stafford, you have to pair him with Kupp. I mean, look at the game that Odell Beckham had last week. I mean, he was a huge part of that offense. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. 9 receptions on 11 targets for 113 yards. That was a huge game by him last week. So if I'm pairing with Stafford, I want to be a little bit different. I have no problem using Stafford with Beckham because they're giving him the ball enough, and he has a massive discount off of Cooper Kupp. It is scary to fade Cooper Kupp, but at this point, it's like you don't need to listen to any of us and be like, oh, you should play Cooper Kupp. Like, no kidding. Like, oh, I should get out of bed today. These are all things that we do on a daily basis, so it's obvious. But I think pairing Stafford with Beckham is the way to do that, because then you can also afford Chase too and have some flexibility. So not saying you need to fade Cooper Kupp, but if you want to have a lineup that you can actually feel like has some, wiggle room and can score some points, I think that's the way you got to do it.